Hello people, it's Davey from Davyverse, and I want to bring you the season's greeting of Love Actually. It seems like it always gets pounded on, pun intended, pun unintended. I don't think I meant a pun there. So it always gets bashed in around this time of year. I mean, I've only ever really watched it, well, I've not really actually watched it all the way through. You know, you sit down with your lass and she puts it on, she's like, oh, let's watch this, take a one con, say, right. I think it's one of the only ones I can actually really ever get through, even though I don't think I've ever watched it in full. Something I always end up making a move or something in the middle. Well, right, get off that topic. That's for a different video. Maybe an OnlyFans. We'll see. Right, so I highlighted something to there, but Love Actually, Richard Curtison admits big error that he makes him feel uncomfortable. So Richard Curtis is the director, and I know what I've done. I highlighted and I unhighlighted, and it's just messed it up. So let's just start, and I'll remember where I got to. Love Actually director Richard Curtis has admitted the big error in film make him feel uncomfortable. I mean, there's a few scenes that make me feel a bit uncomfortable when I was younger. Like, I remember when I first watched it when I was a teenager, and I only ever watched it because I had a pair of tits in it. What teenagers do there? Considering modern day states of the festive season, so they rent that OP, they haven't even said Christmas season. But the director also for Weddings and a Funeral, Notting Hill, isn't entirely happy with the element of the film 2 decades on release. For Weddings and a Funeral. There's something interesting I want to come back to with that. Speaking with the US TV channel ABC for 1 hour special, The Laughs and Secrets of Love Actually 20 years later. It's got a 20th anniversary in it. Curtis said part of the film were now outdated, namely the lack of diversity. I mean, set in 2003, London, you would expect the majority Londoners. 2003 Londoners, which were mainly English. But this has taken a turn. To be fair, there is some diversity in it. You got the Portuguese lass. You got the Americans. I mean, you wouldn't class the Americans as English now, would you? Remember, the English are native here. There are things that you want to change, but thank God society is changing, he said. My film is bound in some moments to feel outdated, and the lack of diversity makes me feel uncomfortably stupid. Oof. So he feels like he should have done better, so he should have applied today's standards to then. Which, if you're my whole point of view on this is, you can't fix the past. The past is there. The past is there. The past is how it was. Stupid or not, it's how it went down. You can't change it. There's no point applying modern standards to that. There is an extraordinary love that goes on every minute in so many ways around the world. He said, it makes me wish the film was better. It makes me wish that I made a documentary just to kind of observe it. So I think what I'm thinking he's sort of implying is he would have had more sort of trans and homosexuality and not really necessarily a race, sort of. I think he just wants to include more sort of types of love, and given that the film's been, well, it's celebrating its 20-year anniversary. How many movies can say that? Over here, it is a modern Christmas classic. A lot of people watch it. Like I said, when you have a girlfriend at the time, she puts it on, guaranteed every year at least once. And you always know when to make a move. Different topic. Love Actually director films a bit, not films. Dyslexia, I know. Director feels a bit stupid about the movie's lack of diversity, and I know I've just done again. So I've lost my highlight. But to be honest, I don't think there was much in this one I was going to use. There were things that would change society. Just read that one. Love Actually features storylines following 7 romantic relationships. However, most of the leads were right. capital right, don't forget, and all the relationships depict are heterosexual, straight. So I don't think he was implying race. I think it's more implying heterosexual myself, but CNN, they always take that sort of race grift. I don't get it. So CNN's the American outlet. Over here, we don't really focus on race, but in recent years, we've been picking it off the Americans. It's just like cancer. Race is not the big issue. Granted, there are some homosexualities and, well, transsexuals that sort of get a sort of rodale bit here and there, but even then, it's not to the extreme. They can all be resolved. 4 Weddings and a Funeral, that's the one I want to get back to. So 4 Weddings and a Funeral was released in 1994 and notably portrayed a same-sex relationship between Matthew and played John Hannah. Oh, man, so it's played by John Hannah and Gareth. I was thinking, wasn't it Fee? Gareth played by Simon Reed. Fucking hell, man. Reed, why would you do that to us? Why not put both of them and then put them at the end? Fucking hell. This seeing then, you aren't really dyslexic friendly, are you? That's messed with my head. 2 seconds, I'll try to sort my head out. Written in Guardian 14 years later. Carol, it almost defies belief that in months after release of the film, 4 Weddings and a Funeral, I received a number of letters that appear intelligent, articulate members of the public saying that they had never realised until seeing the film that gay people had emotions like normal people. Granted, I can sort of see that sentiment being thrown back then. It's nice to see that we've come a long way, but now we're starting to push further into going backwards again. You have to go so far progressive to go so far regressive. But if they try to push the narrative that they've been trying to push it with that new one, Strange Worlds. Oh, this is the first portrayal of gay characters. It's like, no. 1994. You're flipping almost 30 years too late now. Okay. So, Love Actually is getting slated. There's some miscommunications, and like I said, I believe he's more on about the sexuality than he is on about race, Richard Curtis. But just some good sides. So Martine McCulture. I don't know. I'm English, I can't even read Scottish. Fuck's sake. No, I can't be a commentator. I'll still give it the bear try. Bear try, man. I've just got to see bear. Yep. Part of being dyslexic. So, stutter, dyslexic, God has not graced me. I've got a camera actually ordered. So they make the video soon. And yeah, you can actually see God has not graced me physically either, but that's a different story. So Martine has revealed she cannot bear watching herself in Love Actually at Christmas. So she's in EastEnders now. It's just a wholesome bit. It's just a puff piece. It's wholesome though, and this is a part I liked. I quote, "I still pinch myself that I was even in the film." So yeah, it's amazing, absolutely amazing. So she seems happy that she was within it, even though it's getting some backlash. I don't think it's really getting a backlash massively over here. It's been getting so. I think I saw the first articles come up in like America, like New York Post, your Daily Mail, your CNNs, and now it's sort of coming up here. I think Jeremy Vine did a bit. It's just like, what the fuck, mate, man? Can you just let people like what they like? But Martine's famously starred as the downtown, so it's Natalia, in Love Actually, and ended up wooing the Prime Minister. See, that's the sort of way it was. It was a sort of that they're both trying to get within each other's pants. It wasn't one-sided. It wasn't sort of the boss basically abusing his power. They both wanted it. They both went in for it. That's how it was portrayed, and it's just nice to see that at least someone within the movie is happy with it. And to be honest, it's a good role to have. But what I love actually is not a heartwarming rom-com you all remember. Wait. In December, that means Christmas films are very much on the agenda for the next few weeks. So let's get some Die Hard on. Woot woot. Right, so that's just all a fluff piece explaining what the crack is. It's such a cold criticism against overly optimistic, satirised rom-coms have always been the way of relationships, and Love Actually makes for really uncomfortable viewing. Oof. So this is the modern take on it now. So Mark and Juliet. Don't know, should I explain sort of the background or should I just read? Just read, I guess. The sort of man who hires unwelcome surprise sex workers for his mate's stag do is perhaps not a man with a vast well of emotional intelligence. But Mark, played by Andrew Lincoln, it's Rick from the Walking Dead people, developed into a full-on creepy. It wasn't creepy. I mean, it's sort of strange. I get what he's doing, but it's not creepy. Secretly in love with his best friend's fiancée, Keira Knightley. He filmed only her at the wedding. Read. So he was hired as the wedding's film photographer, and yeah, so they missed that bit out. And well, if you remember back when I was younger, so I had a crush on this girl, and I was hired to do some film photography, and I basically noticed when I started to edit that my camera, I got quite that she was just unfortunately more represented than any fucker else. I was like, fuck, what the fuck have I done? Yeah, I remember fucking that up. So I can sort of see why. Often extreme close-ups, certainly not. I didn't go that far, like, and certainly not seeing anything. Just a pretty face overall, over and over again. This wank tape is what the fuck. It's almost comical, bland example of the male gaze in cinema. I mean, no, it's basically you're fixated on something and you crack on with it. So our photographer, let's say, is fixated and focused on one person. They would obviously then try to get as much as they can with that one person. I don't know. The camera literally frames his lust. The viewer presents Knightley through his adoring eyes, but it also seems to visually convert something about a man's control. What the fuck are you on about? So yes, as I said, pretty much adoring eyes. It's how someone that's fixated in that situation would see it. I can see it coming off as creepy to a person, but in that sort of environment where you're hired to be the photographer, you know, you would expect the camera to be with on you. But it also seems, and I don't get the control of that. I mean, it's like you hired him. Well, I know it's not real. So you hired the photographer. He gets pictures of you. Then he crops her, contains her, imposing limits on the terrifying object of desire. What? So this is clearly the writer now basically putting their spin on it, like what I'm doing right now. So he's putting it down in writing, and you can't disagree with his view, as basically everything in the comments is getting deleted. Getting deleted on a news article, for fuck's sake. It's like, not news article, on a paper site. I get YouTube censorship, but this is getting to extreme. You can't fucking correct their views. That's a adorable scene at the end. Because Mark is scared of knowing how much he likes Julia, and yet he doesn't even know her Julie says, but you'd never talk to me. You don't like me. Mark has put her on a pedestal entirely because of the way she looks, with no regrets to put her personality and intelligence. Maybe if he bothered to chat with her, he would have realised that that he had inconsiderably different views and about the war in Iraq, or how Radiohead albums, or whatever else a person talks about. Right, that's just tripe. War in Iraq, Radiohead, whatever bullshit you talked about, that's sort of trivial compared to the fact the first thing you would see in a person is their looks. Then you could sort of go from there. You also got the virtue aspect of someone who's well groomed, well taken care of. Then you would assume that they have good virtues. It's not always the case. We pretty much all know this, but it's just ingrained within us that we see a virtue aspect based on appearance too, and it's not always 100% accurate. But given what it is, you see the person first, and he's basically sequestered himself because he knows he can't have her. At the end, I think that would be a draw with on him. It's because you sort of then, like I said, that you put them on a pedestal once you basically sequester yourself. So you basically then start going in your own head. Or I don't know if it's just me. But I get that you should have fucking said something. You should have said something earlier. You should always try to push on, even if it doesn't work out. At least you basically shot your shot. But Mark shoots a shot with at the end, and he basically does this adorable thing where he knocks. Then she says it's Christmas carolers to a new husband, and he goes through all this, and he gets a peck. Which, I mean, best you can hope for. He knows it's that he knows it's not going to happen to him, and he just cracks on with it. Instead, we get the most famous scene from the film. Mark turns up, declares his love via immediate signs and Christmas, and well, we tell the truth at Christmas, don't we? It's in the time of the little white, I love it. You shouldn't have lies. And what the fuck am I reading? Isn't it the time of little white lies? I'm guessing. I love you. I love it. You shouldn't have it. What the Just try and play on words, and it's really fucking with me dyslexia. And this after all his best mate's wife. He's cold, perfect. Keeping it under your centre hat, Mark. Wait, that really messed with my head, man. Why do these writers think they're funny? Sam and Jonah. Wait, man. Thomas Bridges Sanger plays Sam. Is only a kid, but he's totally tragically in love with Jonah. Olivia Olsen. Fucking hell. Didn't know that. The coolest girl in school. I see it now. Right. She doesn't even know he exists, but you're never too young to start learning. I mean, looking back, this one's sort of like they're both like 9, aren't they? But you know, school love. Everyone had one back in the day. But you're never too young to start learning to make a girl like you. I have a plan, he declared. Girl loves music, so he decides to learn the drums. See, that's a way how to get productive. I think I've learned half the shit I've learned just because of a fucking a girl I liked. The plot is basically me, Mark and Julie. We are not trying to talk to her instead of just admiring her from afar. It's because that women control the relationship. So a man goes up, asks yes and no. She says no, you shot your shot. You try again and it comes off weird. So it's viewed for men that you get one chance. So you have to present your best self, which is what he's doing here. He's basically developing a skill to basically, I know what I'm doing. Using it as a time to think. So he develops a skill to then impress the girl, to then ask her out. It's basic. Did it again? It's classic courtship, and I don't see why it really matters. That he develops himself. He presents the best self forward, but they always have a problem with it. Conventional would be better than pretending to like playing music to trick them. He doesn't pretend he likes it. He actually does get into it. He develops a skill for it. I don't know. Okay. Jamie and Otilia. So I think this is Portuguese. With so she's the Portuguese one. Poor handsome novelist Jamie Colin Firth is cheated on and has to go lick his wounds in France. His housekeeper is Otilia. No, I'm not pronouncing that right. It's a Portuguese speaking woman who speaks no English. They fall in love despite literally being unable to communicate. Because love is bigger than all of us. So it's sort of basically, the movie portrays it as love will win in the end. Love is the communication of the world. Love is the language of the world, and it's basically set in France to prove it. So they're set in France. Two people that can't speak the language. They see that's like, if you don't see that, I don't get how you're making the arguments up there, but then you can't picture this. They fall in love despite literally unable to communicate. And another big romantic gesture, arrogance gesture, of male entitlement. He shows up at Christmas to ask his younger employer, yes, who he's never had a single conversation, to marry him. I mean, back then, it was the norm that basically you met that it's basically the norm that you basically met people for your work. I know this is not the normal sort of relationship back, even like in Novelist and a Cleaner, but she was actively sort of pursuing. He then was sort of the dopey man, like didn't get the sort of signs and shit. Then he finally clicks on. Right, this comes across as shallow at best and worse. Why not? She could have said no. It was wish fulfillment for, well, I granted that it was a bit wish fulfillment for a lazy romantic getting a perfect girl without having to bother getting to know her. What weird? He studied. Wait, so it's shown that he studies Portuguese for an entire month, settles down. I don't know. Well, it's 20 years old now. I'll just ruin it. So he goes back to Portugal, finds a family. So he puts a lot of research into this, and he does the classic thing of asking a father, which we don't really do these days. It's kind of a shame. But so he goes back. So he puts the effort in. He puts the dedication in. His Portuguese isn't perfect, but then at the end, when he does pop the question, you find out that she's been learning English for him. I don't know. The only other really annoying thing is the plotline in the moment when they jump in the lake to save the pages of his book. Cute as slow-mo camera panning up and down Materia's body as she strips off to her underwear and executes an elegant dive. Well, Firth is allowed to flop in fully clothed. I thought that's just a bit of a comical aspect, to be fair though. Like saying, it's like putting the woman back on a pedestal as perfect, and he's just a dopey man. I don't get how that's. It's basically that she's better than him, and you're saying that's a bad thing. What? I don't know. And Splashes looking daft. Read. Cobra Colin is famous for a wet t-shirt scene. If you're going to ogle, can at least be equal opportunity ogling. I mean, from a man's respect, no. Read answers that. Right. We know. Well, pardon me. Let's start again. Sarah and Cole. We know it's not going to end well for Reed. This is a figgy one. She wears frumpy skirts and big jumpers with a terrible butterfly brooch, and she also doesn't prioritise romance and a man's sexual pleasures about all else. After that, the office party dolled up. Sarah finally gets in on with her long-term crush, the hunky car. The film does linger on with the film. What the fuck? But Sarah doesn't. But Sarah phones keep going off, as she keeps answering it. To be fair, it is her mental ill brother who literally sounds like he's about to kill himself. I like to think that most guys would get that. They'd be up for reaction. Heck, maybe they even ask some questions, see how they can help. Going in there, you should have basically followed up. But at the end of the day, you made the whole argument above you that they don't talk, they don't know each other, so fuck you. But I agree, you should have followed up being a decent human being. Not Carl, not in Love Actually. In rom-com lands, apparently a man cannot share a woman with another man. No. You made the whole argument up there. Fucking hell. How can you argue one thing and not argue the... You're basically now giving her the benefit of the doubt, which you didn't give the man. Which I'm still giving the guy the benefit of the doubt. I get where I'm going with, and I get how it looks wrong. And I agree that he should have followed up. But no, you're not right. This doesn't happen. And based on your own arguments, you should have followed up. I don't think you should have chased her after basically family ordeal, family affair. But it's nice to stay in touch, stay in contact. I don't know. Even if it's her sick brother and a woman cannot have her own life or responsibilities, she must at all times be available to service his needs. Wait, what the fuck? It's not service needs. You basically just started talking. Colin and all the American babes. Read. Read. British accent, Geordie accent. Southerners love the Geordie. I don't get why. They're go north and I sound like you're Scott. I cannot win. Then the stutter comes in and it makes us look retarded. Hey. But when we first meet Colin, he gravely insults a wedding caterer, cooking to her face. Instead of being embarrassed and apologetic, he decides that his problem is that British women are stuck up. You do get a point there. He also, well, not these days, back then he used to. He also needs to go to America to pull. Immediately he meets three very hot girls, adores his accent, and ends up taking back to their for an orgy. Of course, there are pure sex objects, and the plotline is totally male, with the, well, I think it's more targeted at the American culture at the time. So you had movies like American Pie out back then, and they were basically like frat boys. They're all like the frat movies. I think it was just a pop shot with them. Well, that's how it comes off to me anyway. The scientist's problem is that British women are street about that. Of course, pure sex objects, and the plot line is a total male fulfillment, but at least the whole thing is played with a tongue-in-cheek. Yeah, basically how I'm taking it, tongue-in-cheek. Basically comedic, knowing ridiculous, or maybe by the end of the film I was just too tired to care. Have your opinion on it? I take it as just British humour jabbing at the Americans. Alan Richmond is a silver older boss. Harry, wait, I was thinking, I don't remember an Alan. Harry and Karen. Wait, this one I did find a bit weird, but I can see it back in the context. His sexually younger secretary Maya, quite literally spread her legs in front of him, so seductively evil. She wears devil horns to a Christmas party, Does she think it's Halloween? Who knows? Who knows? Knows. Jodie Way. Yeah, so I sort of agree there, but you always get them. So it's a gold digger trying to seduce the boss, basically. There's a few ways to play it. You can either play it as she's a gold digger who basically wants to enrich herself, secure the top position, or you also get the women with daddy issues who basically prefer the authority figure, and it's unfair to criticise the guy purely on that. I mean, there's a lot to criticise this character for. For one, he's cheating on his wife. That there would put him in the... Nah, that would chipper. Not the extreme foot cheating. But you know, at least chop a nut off. This woman certainly doing the pursuing here, but the power and the status is still all on his side. No, that doesn't work like that. If she's actively doing the pursuing, his power and status doesn't really protect him from there, because then she could always turn around and me too. You forget that employees have a lot of power as well. So he's the boss. She calls him sir in a sort of seductive way. For God's sake, does anyone actually ever call their boss sir? Well, no, but unless it's a seductive way. And then the business ask her for a nice present for him after the very obvious offer of sex. This is crazily at best. Then very poor Karen, Harry's wife, played by Emma Thompson, is the only true human. See, I feel bad for the character there. I think it was at this point where I was like, for fuck's sake, why did that? I saw why they did it. They're trying to say that like a sort of forbidden love then. So I get the choice of it, but it's a part I don't like. But I don't know if it's just my moles. So multi-factored professional is in the film. She wears volumes of while about being fat, and is a bit harassed from running around after her kids. Also got Richmond helping her make the TV play costume because she's at work. Karen is also the only person who looks like sad in the film. Well, of course, she's got cheated on. Don't you know it? Finally, montage of a happy couple. Why? Because she isn't a perky 20-something-year-old bombshell? No. It's because... So, the way I take that one as is... So, Harry basically gets jumped on by his secretary. As I said, women hold the power to a relationship. So, the women can gatekeep that. So, the man basically does nothing. She then basically, the secretary then pursues him. So then he, well, being younger obviously, is monkey brain, and then goes with her, cheating on his wife, which he should really be at least shot within the kneecap for at least. So then she knows about this, unhappy, but then she's basically doing all the stuff around the house. Because he works, he does a full-time job, and it's like, what do you want? And then she's unhappy because then she's not providing for him, so on and so forth, that he's then thinking. And at the end of the day, at least she's going to get some good money out of it, then she can move on. But I don't really know why I'm having to defend her for being a fictional character here. The message certainly seems to be only women who are sexy make their men happy get their happy ending. I'm sad to say, but that's sort of true. So the mentality is there's a gender pay gap. Men make more money than what women do. So a man is more like dedicate time, effort into work. I think it's even shown on graphs and stuff that women sort of peak about 22, men sort of peak about 40s. And it's like, so you can sort of see where it's going. That a man will work harder, get more money in. Women prefer the money. So they basically seduce a man and settle down, have kids, and have a family out of the cohesion where the man makes the money outside, but the woman rules on the inside. And looks like to me another article with all the comments deleted is more cynical than disrespectful media organisation in the world than the Independent. Well, sadly, yes, there's a lot more. But that has to be that. That's my Love Actually rant. It's come on fucking 40 minutes, so I've got to slice this up. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. Hey, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Davyverse.